Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle something huge, housing finance in India. Now, this isn't just about mortgages and banks. This is a system that literally shapes millions of lives and, the entire Indian economy. A home, it's more than just a roof over your head, right? For any of us, it's that feeling of security, of stability. It's your foundation. But when you zoom out and look at a country like India, a home becomes something else entirely. It's an economic powerhouse. And I'm not just speaking metaphorically. Get this, for every single rupee that gets invested in housing, a whopping 78 paise gets pumped right back into the country's GDP. That's an incredible return. It really shows you that building homes is, quite literally, building the national economy. So the big question is, how does this whole system actually work? And maybe more importantly, who gets left behind? Let's dive in and pull back the curtain, starting with just how crucial housing is for the economy as a whole. All right, section 1. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of your personal home loan, we've got to understand the big picture. Why is housing so foundational for a nation? Well, the ripple effect is just massive. I mean, after agriculture, housing is the second biggest employer in the entire country. And we're not just talking about construction workers. Think about it. It's linked to over 250 other industries. We're talking steel, cement, furniture, banking, the list goes on and on. So yeah, when the housing market is healthy, it's a pretty good sign the whole economy is doing well. Okay, so let's bring it back from that 30,000-foot view down to you. How do you actually go about getting a loan to buy a home? What are the banks and lenders really looking at? Think of it like a checklist. Lenders are going to look at two main things. First, the property itself. What's it worth, and are the legal papers, the title deeds, all clean? Second, they're going to look at you. What's your income? Is your job stable? Do you have any other big loans out there? It's really just a balancing act between the value of the asset and your power to pay it back over, say, 15 or 20 years. All right, once you're in the process, you hit a fork in the road. You have to choose a fixed interest rate or a floating one. A fixed rate is simple. Your payment is the same every single month. Super predictable, great for budgeting. A floating rate, well, it floats. It can go up or down depending on the market. It's a bit of a gamble, but it usually starts off cheaper, and that's why, most borrowers in India actually go for this option. And whichever rate you choose, it all gets packaged into your EMI. You've probably heard that term before. It stands for equated monthly installment. It's just that one single payment you make every month. And with each one, you're chipping away at both the interest and the original loan amount. Slowly but surely, you're paying off that dream home. So who are these moneylenders anyway? Where do you go to get these loans? Well, the marketplace we have today, full of banks and housing finance companies all competing for your business, it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It actually has a pretty interesting history. You can basically watch the whole system evolve on this timeline. It all started back in the 70s, mostly with government-run outfits like HUDCO that focused on social housing. Then, in 77, a private company, HDFC, comes along and, honestly, changes the whole game. A decade later, a regulator is set up, the National Housing Bank, to kind of be the referee for the whole industry. And then, the big one. In the late 90s, the commercial banks finally jump into the ring. That's when things got really competitive. And that really points to this massive shift in thinking. The government's role totally changed. Instead of trying to be the provider of housing, building everything itself, it decided to become a facilitator. Its job was now to create the rules of the road so private money could come in and do the job. That was a watershed moment, and it's what fueled so much of the growth we've seen. Okay, so let's zoom back out. We've seen how the market has grown, how it's become more modern. But, and this is a big but, the system is dealing with some serious growing pains. And these are challenges that affect millions and millions of people. Just look at this number, 40 million. By some estimates, that's the housing shortage in India. Over 40 million units. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. That's not just a statistic, that's an incredible number of families who don't have a proper home. So why? Why is there such a massive gap? Well, it's not one single thing. It's more like a tangled web of problems. You've got these ancient legal frameworks. We're talking over 100 different laws, complicating things. You've got super high transaction costs, like stamp duties, that can actually push people into unofficial gray markets. Then there's the huge issue of not having clear land titles, which leads to fight after fight. And on top of it all, the modern finance system. It just really struggles to reach the very people who need it the most.
low-income families. And a lot of this goes back to a historical mindset. For a long time, governments tended to look at housing as a social welfare issue, not as a powerful economic engine. And because of that perspective, a lot of policies were created that, led to the very red tape and hurdles that India is still trying to untangle today.
Which brings us right to the present day. And you could say India is really at a crossroads. On one side, you've got this vibrant, growing, competitive market, but on the other, you have these deep-rooted problems that are really holding back its full potential. So that leaves us with the ultimate question, right? Can India reform its rules to build a future for everyone? Because at the end of the day, fixing the housing crisis isn't just about building more houses. It's about untangling this incredibly complex web of rules. It's about making the system more efficient and making sure that everyone has a fair shot at getting financing. If India can pull that off, it's not just building homes. It's unlocking its entire economic future. Thanks for watching.